Hi everybody, my name is Scott Walls. For over 25 years, I've deployed ERP applications for some of the world's largest organizations. During that time, I've taught thousands of people just like you how to discover, use, deploy, and support Oracle's back office software. In this lesson, I'm going to walk through the Supplier Portal application. Please note that this lesson is part of the Supplier Portal course found within the Procurement functional area under the Discover menus, and it may also exist as well under just the regular Supplier course. Okay, but before we get started, did you know that you could earn free Discovery badges for display on your LinkedIn profile just by watching videos like this one? You can. Stay until the end of this video and I'll show you how. Okay, so let's get started. Key topics for this lesson are as follows. First, seated user for this application. Second, navigation for the application. Third, the application homepage. Fourth, application transactions. Fifth and final, the transaction search options, both basic and advanced. Now, before we jump into the application, it's worth noting that this video is really focused very high level on what the Supplier Portal does. If you want to learn how to use and or deploy the Supplier Portal, then watch the videos or courses under those menus. Okay, so let's jump in the application. Alrighty, so first things first, we told you we'd give you the seated user for this application. So you can see here the seated user I'm using is Ryan Lee. Ryan Lee is a supplier contact for a supplier called Lee Supplies. You can see Ryan's name up here as well in settings and action. So once you're here inside Fusion, then Ryan needs just to click the Supplier Portal to navigate to the Supplier Portal application. So very similar to what Calvin Roth or any of the other procurement folks see internally, there's some kind of homepage for this application that draws your attention to either in this case news or transactions in process or other transaction you've done. Like many of the other infolets within Fusion, they can be reversed to get more detailed information. And so you can see that here. And then this just takes you to a status for whatever the transaction is that's listed here, right? Which you see down here. Supplier news is very simplistic. You just do this once globally for every supplier. And so if you have an outage or if you have something special coming up, 3-day holiday, whatever, then you may want to let all your suppliers know you do that here. Lastly, what you see that's probably a little bit different is most applications have a task panel on this side. The supplier still has the same infolets that they can personalize the page with, but they don't have that task panel. Instead, you have a listing of transactions here on the left-hand side. And this listing is really big. And this really just depends on the roles that the supplier contact is set up with. But you can see they kind of have a mini menu that the internal users have within the procurement functional area. So instead of a full out menu, let's say for POs, they just have the ability to manage orders, schedules, and acknowledge. Then agreements, they just have the ability to see them. In this case, they can actually, depending on what's been opened, I can have my supplier manage the item detail information on the lines of my blanket or their blanket agreements. Next up, shipments. So you can see they can manage the shipments, create the ASN or ASBN for billing. And then they can upload ASNs or ASBNs, view receipts, view returns. And that's all within the shipments section. Contracts and deliverables. They can manage some of their contract documents or see what we've got for contracts with them. And then deliverables are simply compliance tasks that hang off those contracts. Really, quite frankly, deliverables can be assigned as part of the sourcing process as well. And let's see here. So then you have consigned inventory. We really don't see used much, but you could review your consumption advices in here. Invoice and payments is big. So if you're driving your suppliers towards invoice entry through a portal or e-invoicing, this is one of the ways that they can do that through the portal. And then obviously they have the view ability too. And it's not just there, they have view ability for their other transactions as well. Negotiations, same. They can manage their responses. In fact, if I have an outbound message to a supplier to bid on a negotiation and they click on it, they can come back into this portal and you can see here, like it tells you, hey, these are closing soon. And so there's lots of information, but this is their landing page, if you will, port of entry back into their customer, which is you, procurement's application. So there's a little bit of auctions, qualifications as well, products if they've got them, and then this idea of the managing even their own information at the supplier profile level, which you can see here. These particular supplier profiles will also let you see all of the given contacts for that supplier, and then you could further drill into them to learn more, see more, etc. So that's a little bit of how you can change the supplier contract, the profile information, how the counterparties can perform the reciprocal actions on a transaction, self-service, etc., all through the supplier portal page. It also, lastly, talked very much about the same that we've talked about in other application overviews. And the last piece I'll cover is this idea of managing information. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to go in and view qualifications from a transaction search standpoint, the supplier can go through and look at the different qualifications that they have assigned to them. You just see a readout format. If you look in something like negotiation, it's probably a little bit more or a little bit closer to what you'd see if you were on the inside, meaning if you were part of procurement. Let's see, where's my negotiation so we can look at view active or manage responses. And so these are all the different active negotiations that are out there. And so there's another page called an abstract page. That's if you just want to see any negotiation, or more importantly, if procurement wants to share with the world every negotiation. When you get into me being, or Ryan being in the supplier portal, Ryan sees only the negotiations that are out for his particular business, or that's that company, enterprise. So that's it. And then obviously they can create responses, etc. But this is just the reciprocal page set where the counterparties to all these different transactions can do their activity, but very importantly in self-service. So that's it for the application walkthrough or overview, app walkthrough for Supplier Portal. If you have any questions, reach out to me directly. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something here. Okay, as promised, here are the 5 steps you can perform today to start earning free badges for your LinkedIn profile. Step 1, navigate to Panameer.com and either sign in or join now. It's free. Step 2, in the upper left, under the Discover menu, select the course that you want to watch and get badged for. Step 3, watch all of the different video lessons in that course. Step 4, when it's complete, send your LinkedIn profile and the course you watched and your user ID to badges@Panameer.com. And then sit back and wait for step 5 when we attach a badge to your LinkedIn profile.